Imagine walking past a man every single day, never even looking twice, because in your eyes, he's just the janitor. That mop, those worn-out shoes, the quiet nods, they blend into the background of office life. But what if I told you that one ordinary janitor, ignored, underestimated, and often mocked, was the very person who turned an entire courtroom upside down and changed the fate of a powerful CEO? Stick with me till the end, because this story will not only surprise you, it may just change how you see people forever. And if you believe in stories that prove ordinary people can do extraordinary things, don't forget to like this video and subscribe to our channel for more powerful true stories. That he was called Samuel, but in the office everyone knew him as Sam the janitor. He was a man in his late 50s with gray streaks in his hair and a quiet way of moving around. Every morning, before most employees even clocked in, Samuel had already swept the marble floors, emptied trash cans, and cleaned the glass doors until they gleamed. He wore the same faded uniform, and though his smile was genuine, it was rare that anyone returned it. People were too busy rushing to meetings or sipping their lattes to notice him. But Samuel noticed everything. He had to. Years of cleaning taught him to be invisible but watchful. He knew who stayed late at night, who was honest with their reports, and who whispered lies when no one was listening. One person who always treated him kindly, however, was CEO Richard Hayes. Richard wasn't the type of boss who walked past people without acknowledgement. He often stopped to ask Samuel how his day was, or offered him a coffee from the executive machine. It was small kindness, but to Samuel, it meant the world. Then came the storm. One Monday morning, headlines blazed across newspapers and news channels. CEO Richard Hayes accused of fraud and embezzlement. The company stock dropped overnight. Angry investors demanded answers. In the office, whispers turned into full-blown gossip, and suddenly the man who had built the company from the ground up was treated like a criminal before he even stepped into court. The prosecution painted Richard as greedy and dishonest, claiming he had siphoned millions from the company into offshore accounts. The evidence looked convincing: signed documents, suspicious emails, and testimonies from employees who claimed they had seen him do shady things. Even some of his closest executives turned against him. It seemed like a done deal. The CEO was finished. But Samuel knew something nobody else did. Late nights while mopping the executive floor, he had seen Richard working tirelessly, poring over financial statements, trying to save the company during the rough months. He remembered the night Richard was accused of signing off a fraudulent document. Samuel was there, polishing the glass table in the corner of the room. He saw who had really signed it, not Richard, but the company's ambitious CFO, a man named Daniel Price. Samuel had stayed quiet, convinced nobody would ever believe a janitor's word over a high-powered executive. But as the trial went on, he watched Richard's face in the news, tired, broken, yet holding on to his dignity, and something inside Samuel stirred. When the defense attorney called for final witnesses, a surprising figure stood up in the back of the courtroom. Samuel, holding his worn-out cap in his hand, walked forward. Murmurs filled the room. "What's the janitor doing here?" He spoke with a trembling voice at first, but then grew stronger. He told the court what he had seen that night. That it was Daniel Price who had signed those fraudulent documents, and he remembered it clearly because he had been cleaning the room at that very moment. The courtroom erupted. The prosecution scoffed, calling him unreliable, but Samuel wasn't shaken. He explained in detail: the pen Daniel used, the way Daniel had looked over his shoulder nervously, even the faint smell of his cologne. The defense quickly seized the opportunity. They compared Samuel's account with building security logs, which confirmed Daniel had indeed entered the office late that night while Richard was away. The handwriting experts were brought back, and under new scrutiny, the signatures didn't match Richard's known style, but they matched Daniel's perfectly. The jury began to shift in their seats. Suddenly, the so-called invisible janitor was the most important man in the room. Days later, the verdict came: Richard Hayes was found not guilty, and Daniel Price was arrested for fraud and perjury. As Richard walked free, he found Samuel waiting quietly outside the courthouse, cap in hand, ready to slip back into the shadows. But Richard didn't let him. With tears in his eyes, the CEO hugged Samuel in front of the cameras and said, "This man is not just the janitor. He is the reason I stand here today." From that day forward, Samuel's life changed. The company offered him a new position, not because of pity, but because they realized he had one thing money couldn't buy: integrity. People who once overlooked him now greeted him with respect. Yet Samuel remained humble. "I didn't do it for recognition," he often said. "I did it because it was right." So, what's the lesson here? Never underestimate anyone. The people you think are invisible may be carrying truths that could change everything. Respect is not about job titles, it's about character. If this story touched you, if it made you see the hidden value in those around you, then please like this video and subscribe to our channel. Because sometimes, the greatest heroes are the ones you never thought to notice.